people won't tell you what they really think. And the higher you rise, the less truth you'll hear. A Harvard research shows that 70% of workplace problems remains invisible to leaders. And not because of employees don't care, they're just afraid to speak up. After leading global projects for the past 10 years and managing people from over 17 different countries, here's my take. Feedback doesn't fail because people are afraid. It fails because leaders never build a locker room culture, where the truth and feedback is expected, not punished. In this video, I will show you why silence dominates teams and how to create an environment where feedback feels as natural as passing the ball. Let's start with the iceberg and why leaders only ever see the surface. So what are the 3 levels of the feedback iceberg? So as we see, only 30% of workplace problems are seen by managers. And that 30% is the safe status updates, the polite, well thought out, ChatGPT edited feedback, right? And the surface level observations, small stuff. The next 40% is the hidden, the unmet expectations they don't want to talk about, the confusion about company directions or values. If you want to talk about how to communicate values, here's a video to check out. And also unexpressed disengagement, right? There's going to be a lot of disagreements that they are not talking about, and that is in that 40%. And the last 30%, the deep problems are the resentment from team members to leaders or within team members, distrust, right? And then the burnout signals, right? They never talk about that because that's sometimes a straight way to getting fired. So we can talk about numbers and performance all day, but the studies say that 3 in 10 people feel that their opinion matters. At a Google project called Project Aristotle, they found that psychological safety is the #1 predictor of team success, right? And that's going to connect to productivity as well. So let's actually see what causes that silence and how are you melting that iceberg without forcing fake transparency. So the reason of silence, or why the feedback freezes, since we're using the cold analogy, studies found there are 3 psychological triggers. So #1 is going to be the status threat. So if I speak up in terms of hierarchy, sometimes you feel like I'm going to look foolish or sound foolish. I'm not sure if I should talk about it, and I'm not sure if I'm competent in that topic. So you're not really feeling confident to speak up, to give feedback, and to talk about it. The second one is going to be the identity threat. So sometimes when we give feedback or we talk about anything that is related to conflict or someone, we feel like, that's going to feel too personal. I'm not sure if it's going to help my cause, right? So if it's towards a manager, it's definitely, if it feels personal, that's going to come back negatively to you. And last but not least, which is a common sign of burnout as well, is that just why bother mentality? Like nothing changes. Like, why should I speak up? And I think most of the people have been in that situation as well. And that is the responsibility of the leaders to figure out if there are signs of burnout or the silent disengagement and make sure that you have the space and you have the security to speak up, because that's the only way we can melt that iceberg. But first, we have to make sure that us as leaders are not delusional in terms of what is happening inside our team. The 82% of leaders think, according to McKinsey, that they foster openness and psychological safety within the team. And that's great that they think that, but only 17% of employees agree. Right? So you can talk about it any way you want, but the only feedback in terms of how good is the psychological safety or openness in your team is the feedback coming from your team members, not your thought on it. So if leaders want more honesty, they cannot just ask for it. They have to design a safety system. That is where the locker room culture framework comes in. So why locker room culture? I think sports is a great example, and they're in the spotlight so we can see how teams are actually working together. And the most of the time, we're not really connecting the dots between teams within a company and teams as a sports team, but there is a lot of similarity. So #1 is going to be shared goals, right? So shared goals is going to help us to understand how we are contributing to that one shared goal, and each team member is doing their job, and how our job contributes to each other's and to the one shared goal. #2 is going to be to normalize conflict. We can yell at each other as long as we are talking about it. So the problem is not that we talk about it, the problem is that we are not talking about it, so we cannot resolve it. If you have a conflict with someone, talk about it. #3 is going to be micro debriefs. That's going to be the small conversations regarding work. So you're trying to understand if someone says something about the project, you're trying to understand why they said it and what did they mean by that, how they're trying to do it. So these are the kind of micro conversations you have to do regarding a project so you can improve as a team and as a manager as well. And last but not least, the anonymous warm-up channels. It means that you have to have a chance to give feedback to each other without sharing names, right? So that's going to be, I think, a great way to use on one-on-ones to gather feedback from different team members, anonymous feedback, maybe use a form or free text zone, whatever you want to use, but make sure to gather feedback from that one team member and share it with them on the one-on-one meeting. And that's going to allow a lot of people to share feedback from another team member without giving their names to it, so it's easier to speak up. So now that AI is a part of every process we do, it can help leaders listen better. So how AI can help you with feedbacks is one, is to gather signals, right? So I talked about it in one of my previous videos about one-on-ones, is to gather your email and Slack communication with that one team member you are prepping the one-on-one for, put it into ChatGPT and run it through a sentiment analysis to make sure that you can spot different communication patterns with that team member to figure out if there is any sign of early burnout or if there's any sign of misunderstanding or anything like that. The number two is going to be to surface those subjects and themes that come up within your team, right? So you had 5 to 10 one-on-ones within that month. Then you're going to take the notes of those one-on-ones and put it into ChatGPT and figure out if there is a common pattern in your one-on-ones that is or should be a team issue. Because let's say like 4 of the 5 team members brought up one topic that was a problem with that project. Now you have to keep an eye on that topic because that's going to be a team problem, not just an individual problem. But you have to make sure, as with every interaction with AI, you have to keep the humanity on the human side. You're going to free up a lot of time with the first 2 steps, so the last step can be done by the manager to make sure that we keep empathy and humanity in the hands of the manager. So let's look at what great feedback cultures do differently and the mistakes that kill them. So what are the winning patterns? Weekly retro meetings, anonymous feedbacks, open channels, closing the loop on feedback, no punishment, celebrating truth tellers. Someone brings up a problem or a conflict, we're celebrating that because that is the way we can get enough feedback so we know what are the problems in our team. And then, as I said, making feedback a habit, not an event. And that's going to be, we can do it on retro meetings, we can do it on anonymous and open feedback channels, whatever we feel like. But the common problems that you can see is we are gathering data without taking actions. And then we use AI to monitor instead of empower us, right? So we use AI as an amplifier, not as an actor. And then we treat psychological safety as a PR or marketing process, and we're just using it in our interviews and using it in our job descriptions, but not actually doing it in our day-to-day work. We're speaking first and shutting down honesty, and then asking for feedback, then getting defensive, right? So these are the common pitfalls that you can fall into, and you have to make sure that you keep these in mind and then maybe even adding it more on your side. There are leaders and there are those who lead. You have to make sure that you recognize the cost of losing feedback and not getting enough information about what is happening in your team. Then you have to make sure that you build a system around it so people want to talk about it, they want to resolve conflicts, they want to give you feedback, and they want to make sure that your team performs at its best. You have to make sure to amplify yourself and your team with AI. AI is an amplifier, not an actor. So if you want to make sure that you're actually leading and not just a leader, and use AI to help amplify yourself, make sure to subscribe.